Since the introduction of the automobile, a lot has changed. Makes and models have come and gone. There are very few truly iconic badges that remain. We have three of them here today: the Mini Cooper S, the Peugeot GTI and the Subaru WRX. So let's take a look back at where they all began. Each badge was born in a very different era: the 60s, the 80s and the 90s. So just how much has changed? This is Car Advice's new versus old. This is Frank Hines with his pride and joy, a 1968 Morris Mini Cooper S he's owned for 15 years. It cost just $2,375 new back in the day. These days, the much bigger model costs $40,000, though that classic wheel at each corner stance remains. Meet James Whitbourn, avid WRX fan and proud owner of this one for 2 years. He's brought along his 1997 first-generation Subaru. Then and now, they both have 2-litre turbo engines with all-wheel drive. They even cost about the same new, just under $40,000. And Car Advice's own Daniel DeGasperi, he spent hours polishing his 1989 Peugeot 205 GTI till it was sparkling like new. Rewind 25 years and it cost $29,500. Only $490 less than today's version that puts a new spin on the classic hot hatch formula. So what drew you to the brand and the car?
Well, I really love the hot hatch formula. Take a really little car and shoehorn a big engine under the bonnet. And Peugeot were one of the first in the 1980s to really nail that formula.
Probably dates back to the Subaru dominance in the World Rally Championship back in the early 90s. I was a big fan back then, and these cars were all over the magazines back then too, and they're obviously a very fast car for the money, so I kind of always wanted one. Yeah, and these days they're quite an affordable, fast car, so that's what sucked me in.
Historically, my sister had one, and I've always loved the size, the nimbleness, and its overall character.
What are three things that you really love about it?
I love its nimbleness, it's quick, it's noisy, and I think its racing heritage was the thing that probably drew me in more than any other aspect of it, and I think a lot of other people are the same sort of vintage.
I think definitely lightness. It only weighs 875 kilos, and that large 1.9 litre engine under the bonnet means there's plenty of effortless torque, yet really good performance when you rev it out. It also has fantastic handling, a really wide front track, which means the front wheels are pushed right out to the edge of the body, and a narrow track at the rear, so you've got really good front end grip and a really slightly dangerous taily rear end.
It was cheap and very fast for the money. Yeah, and the ties back to the World Rally Championships reminds me of that golden era of motorsport.
So you've driven the new one. Is it staying true to the legend?
I think it is, yeah. All the key things are still there. The boxer engine, the turbo, all-wheel drive. I think the dynamic focus of the original cars returned to a certain degree with the new car. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a return to form, and I'm pretty impressed with it.
Well, that dangerous taily rear end I was talking about with the 205 isn't present on the 208. They've made it much more safe and refined, yet in some ways it still is true to the formula. It's very quick and it's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it is. I think the thing that I noticed more about the new Mini compared to the old Mini was its size. I think it's a more modern day car, and it's a bigger car, maybe not as compact and noisy, but it's a lovely modern car.
Okay, if I could give you the keys to swap the old one for the new one right now, would you do it?
Gee, that's a hard question, but I think I would, only because I'm getting older and it's a lot harder to get out of this one than what it used to be when I was younger. I would take one of the new ones any day.
Honestly, no, I wouldn't. I like the original one. It is still the original Rex, so that's the one I'd go for.
I think I wouldn't, but there's always space in the garage for a new hot hatch, and I think the 208 GTI really is a return to form for the Peugeot brand.
Well, it's certainly been a very interesting day comparing new and old, and things have certainly changed quite a lot. But what keeps these iconic badges returning and constantly evolving is the loyalty they've inspired in their owners.